Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades.
Hey, what is up? Sorry, people, we're a few minutes late. We're having some issues here. Just to let everybody know, Devon's signal, his computer wouldn't fire up earlier, so I had to borrow his mom's, and it's kind of acting weird. There's a lag in it that we've tried to get around a couple different times, and you'll see his voice, you'll see his mouth move, but the words will be kind of following it. It's almost like just pretend you're at a Godzilla movie from the 1940s or 50s or 50s, I guess that was. Because, yeah, his voice is not exactly aligned with what you're seeing visually. So, hey, we are here tonight. Say hi, Devon. I'm sorry.
Howdy.
I'd see now you just froze up. Holy fuck, dude. It's bad, but we're going to just have to limp through it. Helping me limp through it is an Atomic Citrus Blood Orange IPA or Belgian Ale, excuse me. Yummy stuff. And drinking tonight? No, you got to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Casually unemployed, waste of space like me are able to drink on a Wednesday night, but only one. So we're here tonight to do episode 3 of the Dad series. What is the Dad series? I'm going to stop telling what it is pretty soon, but real quickly, nutshell. My guest and I, we talk about some bands that we may want to do an episode on. We agree on a band, and then we talk about which albums we feel are the definitive album. There's no winner, no loser here, because a lot of bands have multiple albums that you could call definitive. Good examples, Rush. Good example is, who would you say, Devon? Another example of a band that has a lot of bangers.
Death, maybe.
Death would be a great example. One, yeah, you could pick up, any number of those albums those classic albums. So, let's say hi to Brian Arkham. We've got Tim. Hey, what's up, Tim? I gotta fire that tech dude for sure, man. Mick Irish, what's up, man? We'll talk a little bit about seeing Mastodon a couple times. Devon's too young to be a dad. That's true. Well, no, actually he isn't, believe it or not. But he's only 13, but he kind of looks a lot younger. So we'll just go. But anyways, it's gonna be kind of weird because he's freezing up. Man, dude, it's fucking bad. What the fuck is going on with that thing, man? Now you're okay.
I don't know.
Now you're moving, but it is late. The voice is late with it, but when you sit still, it just literally freezes up. Anyway, well, we'll get into it. We'll see what happens, man. Jay, what's up? So basically the Dad series is this. We choose a band that we agree upon, and then we decide which album we feel is the definitive one. And in this particular head-to-head matchup we do with the Dad series, we talk about track by tracks, we get into production, we talk about how successful the album was for the band, replayability, bangers versus meh tracks, mega bangers, tweener bangers, as I came up with the other night, all that kind of shit. So we're gonna get into that with the 2 albums that we chose. Devon, what did you choose?
I chose Blood 2006.
Oh, man, dude, you fucking froze so bad. What the fuck? Yeah, so he chose Blood Mountain, and I chose Crack the Skye. I came in on this band with the very first album, Remission, back in, I think, 2002, 2001, whenever that came out. I'm not sure when that album came out. You can put them down, Deb. And the main reason I came into them was because I loved the cover of it, and I'd read a little bit about them and heard a little bit about them, and I happened to be at a Porcupine Tree show in Philadelphia and was in the original Relapse record store. They had an actual retail outlet on 4th and South Street, and I went in there and saw that album and a t-shirt. I grabbed a Remission t-shirt. No clue where that got to. Somewhere. I lost a bunch of stuff in my storage unit a while back, a couple years ago. I think that was in there. But I was also a mega fatty back then, and I was wearing like an XL, so I don't want to go back to that. I'm already up to a large now. That's very uncomfortable for me. But yeah, I got into this band on Remission. What was the first time you heard of Devon? Much later, I'm assuming.
Yeah, the first album I think was Once More Around the Sun, but Crack the Skye was actually the first one I ever heard.
Which was the first one?
The first one I heard was Crack the Skye, but the first brand new Around the Sun.
Okay, I'm Around the Sun. Cool. Yeah, so we're gonna get into these, and we're gonna kind of tweener bangers. Yes, tweener bangers. That is like my new thing. I've copyrighted that term, and yes, it is a foreign film. It probably has nudity in it. I'm just guessing. Anyway, let's talk about these albums, dude. First album is Blood Mountain, was released September 12, 2006, recorded between December 2005 and April 2006 at Robert Lang Studios, Studio Litho, and EK Studios in Seattle. It came out on Reprise Relapse, and this is the first album by this band that's on a major label, because the first album was, I think the first album and the second album came out on Relapse, right?
Yeah. No fault of mine, I think.
I know the first one did. Look at Leviathan. I think that's Relapse as well, too. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, so.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, it is. That's what I thought. All right. Man, why are we having so much fucking stress with your audio and video? God damn it, man. And what did I have stress with the other night that was all messed up? Oh, Jason McMaster interview I had a lot of issues with. But Marty was fine the other night, and other stuff I've done since then is fine. You're okay now, but it just tends. Are you having like a storm or anything out your way?
I don't know what the fucking deal is.
Yeah, I don't know either, man. It's weird because it's definitely freezing up a lot. Anyway, first major label debut, recording the album, finished in April 2006, was released September 12th, 2006 on Reprise. The album is full. The album in full could be streamed on the band's MySpace page a few days prior to release. That tells you where we're at time-wise because, back in the day, MySpace was kind of like the Instagram, Facebook sort of original sort of idea, and it was pretty limited and pretty lame for the most part. But that's how a lot of bands in the early 2000s got their material out and streamed them. So it was, it was cool for that. I remember that quite well. And but I don't know if there's even MySpace is still out there. I doubt it. But you had a friend in Tom on MySpace. Just remember that, though. According to bassist Troy Sanders, this album is about climbing up a mountain and the different things that can happen to you when you're stranded on a mountain in the woods and you're lost. You're starving, hallucinating, running into strange creatures. You're being hunted. It's all about the whole struggle. Guitarist Bill Kelleher considers this album to represent the earth element because the sea element was represented on Leviathan. The next element either is space, and that's going to be the element that's represented on Crack the Skye, which we'll talk about. Album includes guest appearances by Scott Kelly of Neurosis on Crystal Skull, Josh Homme of Queens of the Stone Age on Colony of Birchmen, as well as keyboard player Isaiah Ike Owens from the Mars Volta, and singer Cedric Bixler Zavala at the Drive-In and Mars Volta on Pendulous Skin and Siberian Divide. The title Colony of Birchmen is an homage to the song Colony of Slippermen by the progressive rock group Genesis, whom the band's drummer Bron Daler has been known to appreciate. Bron, all the guys I think are pretty much into prog. I know before the album it was said that essentially Brent Hines listened to In the Court of the Crimson King incessantly for that, and in order to kind of like work their way up to getting into writing this album. And Troy and Bron listened to Animals by Pink Floyd. So there you go. Speaking of Pink Floyd, coming up, Lee from Heavy Art Talk and I are going to talk Pink Floyd on a dad's episode, and I'm doing Animals. He's doing Dark Side of the Moon. So there you go. Okay, so jump into this, Devon. This is your pick. So talk about the album, the tracks, the production, the sequencing, the overall replayability for you.
Okay, so let's read my notes. Wolf is Loose starts the album off with a high-energy thrashy track with mix of melodic vocals. Later on, has a cool like double harmony with the don 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 don. That definitely could have fit well on the first two records. Crystal Skull in intro thing before breaking into the Crush River riff, probably the heaviest track on the record. Sleeping Giant, melodic slow intro before that 1 minute at 1 minute 10 the like weirdly trippy like harmonic like doom 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 doom. This song definitely could fit on Crack the Skye since it's definitely going in that more melodic progression. Carpathian Crest, one of the most straightforward shit action.
Dude,
Am I still there? Okay.
Your connection's fucked.
Yeah, I know.
It's so bad. Does anyone else in the house have a laptop like your dad? I don't know.
Let me go check.
Huh?
Hey, I'll be.
All right. I don't know what's going on, man. He's having mega stress. We may have to go to his phone because that is a shitty fucking connection. And we didn't have any idea. His laptop crapped out like a half hour ago, and he can't get it to load Windows. So just hang on a minute. We'll try to get this up and running. If not, maybe we'll have to call it and redo it. While we're waiting, sorry, eating a Pop-Tart, drinking an ale. While we're waiting, we'll talk about a little shit that is happening on the channel tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 3:30 in the Central Time Zone, wherever in the mountain there, whatever that is. I have Craig LaCicero, Chris Contos, Norman Skinner from Forbidden coming on. We're going to talk about somewhat of the Reformation, but we're going to get into what's ahead, what's coming. We're going to talk about Contos's and Skinner's contributions and how they're adjusting into into the fold of the original OG Forbidden guys like Craig and Mac Macho and a guy that's been there quite a while, Steve Smythe. So we'll talk about that. Let's see. Sunday, Nick and I are going to be doing a dad series on Morbid Angel. I've got Altars of Madness. He has Covenant. Last night I did a I've got some Mastodon singing coming. Trust me, Tim, if we get this sorted out. Last night I did part 2 with Greg May from Tyrant. Really good conversation. Took me a little bit of, I had to kind of keep him focused on telling the story, but he's a really great dude, really, really cool guy. And it was really cool to hear that, the whole Tyrant story. So there's that. Let's see what else. What else do I have coming up? Let me pull up my notes. My goats. Oh, here we go. All right. Yeah, so got the Hawkwind deep dive tomorrow night at 9. I think it's 9 or 8 or 9 with my friend Melinda. We're going to talk about 1970 to 1980 Hawkwind. 9 albums, 1 live album. Hopefully I've got Phil from Chromium Dioxide coming on this weekend to do Dad Series number 4 or 5, depending on when he slots in. And that will be on Stained Class and Defenders of the Faith, Judas Priest. Future episodes include Matt from the Accusation Network. He and I are doing Van Halen. Van Halen 2 versus Fair Warning. Logan and I from Drunken Metal Musings are doing Soundgarden's Bad Motorfinger and Super Unknown. Floyd, I mentioned the Floyd one with Lee. Animals versus Dark Side. Serge and I are doing Queensryche. The Warning versus Promised Land. Nick and I are doing Altars versus Blessed for Morbid Angel. Eric Berg from Psychic Vacuum and I are doing Vandergraaf Generator, Pawn Hearts versus H2HE. I'm sorry, Pawn Hearts versus God Bluff. Kellen and I are doing, Kellen from Killing for Company, we're doing Wasp, Headless Children versus the debut. Hopefully Aaron and I are going to get something going on. Man, Leviathan didn't make the cut for me, dude. I like Crack the Skye, and he likes I love Leviathan, but it's probably second on my list, maybe third actually. Forgotten Metal Gems with Dennis. We are doing Kick-Axe, Slaughter Extroius, Laz Rocket, and Sortilege, and we're doing that I think the 28th that weekend. I don't have that nailed down as yet. Still working on the Paul Masvidal and Kelly interview. That's gotten kind of weird. Prog Metal Island next month. We're doing Rainbow, myself, Craig Beerhorst, and Tom Draper, and maybe a special guest. We're doing that early in October. And Anathema might happen in there somewhere along with Prog Metal Island, Desert Island deep dive thing. So I think that's pretty much it. I don't know where Devon went. We'll see if he comes back. Oh, there was a Jason McMaster interview, which I did last week this time. I think it was last Thursday. That's really, really good. We do have some video and audio syncing issues going on there a little bit. But, yeah, man, that's their glam album, dude. I don't love that album very much. I do love Leviathan, but I just don't think it's nearly as good as... I'm sorry, I just don't think it's as good as Crack the Skye. Ah, here he is. All right, are you back? Hello? Can't hear you. You might have to get your headphones and plug them in. I got it. It looks like a good video, and I saw your mouth moving, but I couldn't hear. So you got to get the. All right, we're getting there. Hang on. I know I'm missing something. What am I missing? Shit, I know I'm missing something. Yeah, tomorrow's Thursday, right? Yeah, so it's the Craig interview and Hawkwind deep dive. It seems like there's something missing for this weekend. I think if Phil and I do the Dad series number 4, it's going to be on Priest, and that would be on Saturday, and then Nick would be number 5 on Sunday. So I think that's where we're at with everything. I don't think there's anything else. Oh, I got Alan coming in and Rick coming in. Alan and I are going to do Deep Purple. I've got Burn. He's got Machine Head. Let's see. Who else is on that list I missed? Oh, here we go. Yeah. Serge, Lee, Logan, Matt, Phil, Eric, Aaron. Rick and I are doing Def Leppard like we talked about on Friday night's Heavy Metallurgy. He's got Pyromania. I've got High and Dry. I mean, come on. Like, I win that hands down. But anyway. What else? Jake and I are talking. Chuck and I are talking. Dennis and I, Johnny Mac. Roger, I'm hoping to get. Roger Kvorchik from Norway. Mark G with the C, I'm hoping for. And Andy from Metal Mogul. So those are all people that are coming up. Jimmy from Future Ruins. How about it? You probably don't have it. You got to go down and make your earphones and the thing, your preferred. You got to go to your. Somebody help me out here. Your inputs. Got to go into your audio thing and make sure you've got a external thing. Press the button on the display settings. Go down where it says settings. Below us. Look where it says settings. In the StreamYard thing. Look where it says settings. Go in there and go audio. And you'll see a list of things that you can use. And one's going to be like an external microphone. There we go.
Test.
I heard some. There you
How
go.
about now?
There we go. Now talk a minute.
Now I can't
Talk.
hear you.
Talk a second. Speak. I could hear you. Can you hear me? Now I heard you for a minute. I don't think he's on. I don't think he's on a phone. I heard you there for a minute, and then you were gone again. What did you put settings for? Go into settings, go to audio, and kick on external.
Now though.
Now I can hear you. Now
I
talk.
can't hear you.
You can't hear me.
No, I can't hear you.
Okay, that's. No shit. Why can't you hear me? What? It's in your settings for the audio, dude. Try everything in there. Click on each option. Oh, man. Well, we may have to redo this. What a pain in the ass. What's up, Nick? We're having issues with Devon. His computer took a shit on him. And, yeah, this is a good one to listen to and get drunk to because this is, you know. I guess I could do it to myself because I researched each album, but okay.
How about now?
Yeah. Stay with your phone.
Yeah, I have the notes pulled up on the computer now.
Yeah, stay with your phone. We're gonna have to figure that other shit out. I don't know. I'm not sure what the deal is there. Turn it on its side. There we go. Now back up a little bit or sit down a little bit so you're there we go. All right, cool. All right. We're good to go. We're just going to roll with it, even though that was a fucking pain in the ass. So, all right. So go ahead and start over. We're going to go with your situation or your notes on Blood Mountain.
Okay, so opening on this, track 1, Wolf the Loose. Starts the album off with a high-energy, thrashy, but melodic track with angry alternating vocals between Brett and Troy. That later on has a couple awesome, cool, like almost like Thin Lizzy type harmony guitar riffs. Could have fit in the first 2 records. Crystal Skull, interesting like tribal drum intro thing. Probably the heaviest song. It's more of a like slow kind of doomier song. Sleeping Giant, melodic slow intro at the 1 minute 10-second mark starts with an almost trippy, weird harmonic riff that repeats later a couple more times. This definitely could have fit on Crack the Skye since it's more of a like moody atmospheric track. Carpillion Crest, one of the most straightforward, just simple like rock songs. So I guess that could have been on like Once More Around the Sun or something. Well, the first half is, and it gets more into like a fast, kind of like technical picking style, and the rest of the song continues the more technical part. Ends with the awesome like thrashy riff at the end of the part. Circle of Sky Squatch, probably my favorite song on the record. That's simple like E repeating like harmony riff, the dun 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 thing, super effective. They do like a talk box riff with it, which they don't really do that often.
I'm not sure if it's a talk box. It sounds like it's a vocoder actually.
Vocoder. Then that ends with like that super heavy like breakdown part kind of. Blade Catcher, kind of an odd instrumental with like some weird like cartoon noises. Later on,
that part bugs the shit out of me. But go ahead.
I know, it sounds like something you hear on like a Roger Rabbit Disney ride.
Yeah, it gets better though. It gets better.
I know, it has a cool ending though. Colony of Birchmen. Not a fan of that song. I've always hated it.
That's the Queen of the Stone Age song because Josh Homme's on it. So I mean,
yeah, I know it's definitely more of a like radio friendly commercial.
It's radio friendly, but it's a great track. I like it. It's one of my favorites on the album. But
Hunters in the Sky, definitely probably my favorite deep cut, more of a slower, doomier song. Definitely like, goes from like melodic parts to heavy parts like the earlier stuff. Hand of Stone starts off with the almost like heavy, like sliding main riff and changes into a more melodic technical part. Another song that ends with an awesome thrashy riff. This Morning Soil, another tribute atmospheric melodic track that could have fit on Crack the Skye, just like Sleeping Giant. Isn't this the first song that has lead vocals from Ron Daly?
I don't know that. That might be true.
I think it sounds like him. I
didn't research that. Yeah, I thought he was on a lot of the other stuff, but you might be right. You might very well be right.
Siberian Divide, another song that goes back and forth.
Hey, dude, hold up. When you're trying to read your computer, bring your computer like down, because you're taking yourself out of the picture, so I can't even see you. So either pull the computer, yeah, maybe angle it that way. There we go. Somehow we'll get this right after, like an hour and a half. Much better. There you go.
Siberian Divide goes back and forth from a more melodic section to a heavier part with angry vocals from Brent and Troy. Perpetuous Skin, not a very good ending. It's kind of like a wimpy song. I wish they ended with a more heavy song, but this is the only song with acoustic guitars and it's throughout the entire track. It's labeled an instrumental, but there's some like slight talking parts throughout it, so I don't really consider it instrumental, but that's just me. By far the most melodic and mellow track in the entire record. Not a bad song, just wish they ended the record with a more aggressive banger instead of the slower, more ambient track. And the 16 minutes of silence at the end is kind of stupid, and the hidden voice message really isn't that funny.
Yeah, that's Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age on there. So
yeah.
What about like, now I can't see it all, dude? Can't you prop it up on something that it's all right? There we go. Cool. If you had to, I don't know if you broke it down this way, but the way that I've been outlining it for people is, if you had to, what percentage of the tracks are bangers? What percentage of the tracks are solid? And are there any skippable tracks for you? Is there anything on the album that you're like, it's all right?
Colony of Birchmen and the last track are kind of favorites, though, probably The Wolf is Loose, Sleeping Giant, Circle of Sasquatch, and Hand of Stone. Those are my 4 favorites.
How about production and sequencing? Now, that was by Matt Bales, whereas Crack the Skye is Brendan O'Brien. Brendan O'Brien did shit like Super Unknown. I believe he did Dogman by King's X. Matt Bales is more of a sludge doomy guy. I believe he did a lot of, he might have done Caius, actually, now that, it's Caius. Yeah, Brian, yeah. Colony has Brad's vocals. Yeah, I don't know if that's his first vocal ever. I don't know if he was doing back vocals, but maybe, maybe it's...
I meant his first, lead vocal, not necessarily backup.
Lead vocals, right. Yeah. No, Nick, that's Josh Homme. It was the vocalist for Caius. Him and Nick Oliveri were both vocalists, but Josh Homme did Sky Valley, Blues for the Red Sun. That was Josh Homme singing on there. No Dave Grohl in sight anywhere on any of these albums. There are some other people that I mentioned. Scott Kelly sings on Crystal Skull. Josh Homme's on Colony of Birchmen. Siberian Divide has Cedric Bixler Zavala from the Mars Volta. Also, Pendulous Skin has Isaiah Ike Owens, the keyboard player. I don't know if that's a guy that they have now live with them or whatever. Oh, you were joking. I was going to say that was a little surprising. I was like, man, that Nick's got to be yanking my dong on that or something, man. Which I know you like doing, but anyway.
As far as sequencing, if I can make one change, I would switch Sleeping Giant and Circle of Sasquatch. Put Sleeping Giant down 2 more and put Circle up 2 more.
Yeah, I just wanted to address a couple comments quick. Kellen, I didn't say we couldn't do Cardi B. I just said I wasn't familiar with anything but WAP. That's the only thing I know by Cardi B is WAP.
WAP.
And I wish I didn't know what that was. I would give anything not to know what that was. But, if you want to switch from WASP to WAP, I guess we could do that. I don't know. Anyway, you might be on your own on that one. I want to do WASP. And we're doing WASP. So, all right. Who else? Who else had something funny here? I'm not saying Leviathan isn't good. I love it. I just don't think it's as good overall, and it's not as representative fully of what this band has become. I think Crack Skye.
Are
kinda
we
covered-
gonna talk about, in our opinion, what makes an album definitive?
What's that?
Are we gonna talk about what makes an album definitive, in our opinion?
Yeah, go ahead and do that. Well, actually, no. Let me run through my evaluation of Blood Mountain. Then we'll do my evaluation of Crack, and you can do yours. Then we'll talk about what makes them definitive. Okay.
I actually do agree with Kellen. Leviathan is my favorite, but I think this one more defines their sound because Leviathan doesn't really have any even more trippy tracks that would be on later material.
Yeah, but the problem with Leviathan is it in my opinion is it encompasses what the first album was, which was kind of a hardcore, almost a core band, metal band at their heart initially, which they were, because a lot of their guys came from, you know, the metalcore scene, right? But they kept that in that first album, except for they added a lot of sludge, a lot of Neurosis influence and all that stuff. But what they became by Crack the Skye was a very different band. And they still have homage to those earlier albums, like the first three, but they became a much more progressive metal hard rock band. And they encompassed a lot of 70s influences from King Crimson to Genesis to Yes and all that stuff, added in the Tool influence, and they became this really incredibly adept songwriting band, which I don't think they were on the first three albums. I like a lot of that stuff. I just don't think they were as good as songwriters on that stuff. There's some great songs. There's also some stuff that's kind of skippable. Nothing on Crack the Skye is skippable, and we're going to get to that in a minute.
On the first two records, they were more like a sludge band with progressive influences. Then they became the opposite. They became like a progressive band that had sludgy moments.
Right. Yeah, Hearts Alive and Last Baron, they well, I mean, okay, so Hearts Alive is more about the Moby Dick thing. Last Baron, see, Kellen, you're too smart for metal. See, that's the problem. You're way too fucking smart. You're too intellectual about this shit. Okay, it's I love you, but you intellectualize all this stuff. It's like I think the lyrics on both those albums are incredible. I think they've got great lyric writing. I think it's out of sight. I mean, but I just feel like, well, I see now I can't even get let me get my take on Blood Mountain out of the way. We'll do Crack the Skye, then we'll address what's what, okay? Because now you guys are fucking me up. Chill out. Let me do what I do. All right, so here we go. For me, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 mega bangers on this album, and there's 12 tracks, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are 1, 2, 3, 4 really, really, really great tracks. There are 4 tracks on here that I can skip easy. They just don't do anything for me at all. And I saw them on this tour. I saw them on Leviathan tour. I saw them on the Crack tour. And then I saw them for The Hunter, I think was the last time I saw them. It was either The Hunter or Once More Around the Sun. I don't remember exactly. One of those. And Kellen, I wasn't dogging you, dude. I was just saying you think about this like on a different level than I do in a lot of ways. So the lyrics don't mean as much to me now in my older age. It's like it's hard for me to read and comprehend what the hell is going on. So the first song, The Wolf is Loose. Decent opener, very punky, very stonerish. I like it. It's kind of one of my lesser favorite tracks, to be very honest with you. It's great. Braun is incredible on it. Braun is just fucking scary on it. But it's not melodically one that I gravitate to. Crystal Skull is a solid track with Scott Kelly. I like it. Oh, I've already brought up tweener bangers, my friend. We're getting there, okay? And in fact, Crystal Skull is a tweener banger. It's a tweener banger. It's between an okay track and a mega banger. So we got a tweener banger, our first tweener banger. Sleeping Giant, mega banger. That beginning, that real moody, atmospheric, mystical sounding beginning, and then you get the wah, 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 wah. And what it is it's slide notes. It's not harmonic. He's sliding with a delay on it, and it gets that cool, like, hanging note sort of thing. Capillary and Crest, first very Crack the Skye song. Crazy guitar wankery all over this one. That is a tweener banger right there, okay? Circle of Psy Squats, killer opening gnarly riffs, that stabbing single, Wasted Years sort of thing, like the it's very Wasted Years. They're totally glomming onto that, but it works. It's great. That is a mega banger. It beats your fucking head against the wall once it kicks in, too. We've got Blade Catcher. Absolutely insane, not always in a good way, like in the first 30 seconds with the Looney Tunes weirdness. It like really puts me off every fucking time, no matter what. But they always play this live, but it moves into a killer dual guitar, crazy fucking nightmare, man. It's super badass. That is a tweener banger though, because I take a little bit off because of that weird Looney Tunes. What was that movie? Who Framed Roger Rabbit? It's like that weird thing that's on there. Colony of Birchmen. You don't like it. I think it's super catchy. Very much a Stones of the Queen of the Stone Age song.
I mean, it would have fit better. It would have fit better. Fuck, it would have been better later on other record like The Hunter or Once More Around the Sun instead of this record.
Maybe, but it also kind of shows where they're kind of going. But I agree, The Hunter or maybe Once More Around the Sun. I love it. I love that song. It's a mega banger. For me, dude, I'm not gonna lie, man. Hunter's Hand and Mortal Soil. Mortal Soil, I like. I'll give that a semi-banger. That's what we'll go with for a 1-star semi-banger. It's not a tweener banger. It's a semi-banger. I like it. I don't love it. Hand and Hunters just don't do anything for me. They're skippers for me. Boom. Past them. They just don't do anything. Siberian Divide. Very Crack the Skye guitar-wise. Again, solid, but not a very memorable song overall. That's just a semi-banger. And then we've got Pendulous Skin, which I'll give a tweener banger to. You're right. It's a mellower track, but I kind of like that at the end. But it probably would have been better in the middle and maybe put Blade Catcher at the end or Colony of Birchmen at the end or something like that. So, but I like it a lot. I like it a lot. So for me, Blood Mountain is about an 8.5 out of 10, maybe a 9 out of 10. Whereas Crack the Skye is not even close to that. So I'm going to go an 8.5 out of 10 for Blood Mountain. I like it. I think production is very good. I think sequencing is a little wonky. It's 51 minutes long. Frankly, I could have taken 2 tracks out of there and been better at the 41, 42, 43 mark with this album, just because there's a couple tracks I just don't think live up to the album as a whole, which that's, I already said, were Hand, Mortal Soil, and Hunters. They're good tracks. They're just not fucking great tracks for me. You disagree, and that's totally understandable. Hold on one sec here. Sorry. Let's see. What do we got here? We are...
If you had to rank the Mastodon albums, where would you put Blood Mountain?
Probably 4th or 5th. I've not spent enough time with the new one, even though it came out last year. I've just not spent enough time with it. I need to get it. I do not own the Hunter. It's the one album of theirs that I did not particularly like very much, but I probably need to go back to. I do, in fact, really like Once More Around the Sun. I hate to admit it. I kind of like it a lot. So I would probably put that at, I would probably go Crack the Skye, Leviathan. Yeah, I'm probably going to go Once More Around the Sun, believe it or not, at 3rd, and this is probably 4th. But again, I can't really gauge it because I don't know Hushed and Grim. And what was the one before that? Was that Once More?
No,
Emperor of Sand. Emperor of Sand. And I don't know that one very well, but I did listen to it a little bit, and it didn't do much for me at all. That one kind of probably might be last, along with the Hunters. So, all right, so there we go. Let's talk about, well, what about production on this album? I think it's good production. It sounds good. I don't think it sounds as good as Crack the Skye overall, but I think it's solid production. There's nothing on it that bothers me. What about you?
Definitely, you can tell it's a major label record instead of like an independent because it sounds bigger. And then I kind of like the greediness of the guitar tone on Leviathan more, though.
Yeah, I like the guitar tone on Leviathan too. I love it on the next album we're going to talk about. And yeah, I don't know. Like I said, as far as the sequencing, it could have been a little shorter, and they could have dropped a track or two. I do think that replayability for me is kind of like about a 6. I go 1 to 10 on that. Between 8 and 10 is I can listen to that album many times over. 10, I can do several times in a year. 8 I can do 2 or 3 times. A 5, once a year is good for me. And anything below a 5, I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm not really that into it. So, anyways, how about we talk about Crack the Skye, which came out. You want to show that one? Yeah. Released March 24th, recorded April through September 2008 at Southern Track Studio in Atlanta, Georgia. Came out in Reprise, Sire, and Relapse. Brendan O'Brien, as we talked about, he did Dogman. He did Soundgarden, Super Unknown, and a bunch of other really killer records. When this came out, I remember they had all kind of special editions. There was a lenticular version that I missed out on buying. It was like a box set thing. Wish I had that now. I totally forgot how fucking great this album. So let's do some notes on this one. According to an interview on the DVD, The Making of Crack the Skye, the album represents the element of ether, which is represented by the souls and spirits of all things, a theme closely related to the context of the album. Because the elements of fire, water, and earth have already been represented by the band, water being Leviathan, earth being Blood Mountain, and fire, I guess, being Remission. The band's seventh album. The band's seventh album. Fire was Emperor of Sand, I guess, right? Anyways, I'm not sure what that was all about. The element of air is the only classical element which has not been represented on a Mastodon album. The album debuted at number 11 on the Billboard 200, selling 41,000 copies in its first week. It has sold over 200,000 copies in the U.S. as of September 2010. That's a decade ago. It's probably sold. I would think it's sold 400,000, 500,000, 600,000 by now, probably.
Close to gold, you'd think so.
What's that?
Close to gold, especially after their appearance on.
It's gold?
I'm assuming so.
You'd think that's 500,000.
Weren't they on like Conan O'Brien or something?
I'm sorry?
Weren't they on like some talk show on this tour?
Well, they did. Yeah, on this tour they did David Letterman.
Yeah, you would think that would help a lot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the actual sales numbers are. Maybe you can look it up on your computer. I don't honestly know. I didn't look that up. Look up this and Blood Mountain. We'll get a comparison there. So during the composition of this record, not last record, it was Brent Hydes was listening to In the Court of the Crimson King by King Crimson every day as inspiration, while Daler and Troy Sanders listened to Pink Floyd's Animals. It was this album, not Blood Mountain. So Daler has also said that Crack the Skye is meant as an homage to his sister Skye Daler, who committed suicide at age 14. Yeah, I remember that. That was pretty fucking heavy, man. So I'm going to get into the tracks and we'll let Devon talk about them. First of all, I hadn't listened to this album in a while. So that kind of is like, well, if it's replayable, Jeff, why aren't you listening to it every year? Okay, look, shit gets lost in the annals of time on my shelves. And it's kind of like, that's kind of what happens, sadly. It's just what goes on. But after listening to this, and I listened to it twice today to kind of fire myself up for it, man, this fucking album is a mega banger. Oblivion, that opening D-tone, tri-tune, lots of tricky riffs, that shuffle, very groovy verse in it, into that memorable earworm chorus. Falling from grace, 'cause I've been away too long. Now I'm lost in oblivion. That's my best Brent Hines voice there. A little bit of a whine and a little nasal tone and falling from grace. I should have done that with my nose closed. Love that fucking chorus in that song. Then that massive heavy transition during the solos. Killer opening track. Divinations. Tricky, crazy guitar playing. You don't hear on a lot of metal band albums. You just don't. You hear a lot of, if you're listening to Dream Theater, you hear a lot. But in a lot of black metal or death metal, you're not hearing the kind of guitar playing that you're hearing on this album. That's the reality. You do hear it on some death bands, technical death bands like Death or, but you're not hearing this kind of playing on an Autopsy record. That's not what we go for, right? It's just not the way it is. So, anyway, crazy guitar playing. Has to be acknowledged how killer all the guys in this band are as players. They're top-notch musicians. Everybody mostly talks about Brent, how incredible fucking Brent is, and he is. Not only is he an amazing drummer, but he's a really good singer too. He's become one. But Brent and Bill Kelleher are monstrous guitar players. The way they weave a lot of melodic but technical riffs in and out of the fabric of the songs that they write. Killer guitar players. And Troy smokes at the low end while being mostly the taxed guy when it comes to singing. Yeah. Lots of earworms on this divination. I think this one is the one. No, shit. I'm remembering. I can't remember how that one goes. I got it mixed up with No Escape, Bindings, but No Escape, Binding Spirits. It's just a great tune, man, and it gets in your head. So we got Quintessence next. Kind of a mystical, dreamy, droning chorus gives way to that big epic sing-along. I'm sorry, verse. Droning chorus, not fucking A. Come on, Jeff. Kind of a mystical, dreamy, droning verse gives way to big, epic sing-along chorus that is stupid catchy and effective. Lots of tricky guitar again. A lot of finger pick stuff from Brent, who's a really big-time country bluegrass fan. Brent Hines is a massively killer guitar player, and he can do all that freaking, hybrid picking stuff that, you never hear hybrid picking on a fucking death metal album or a black metal album. You're just not going to hear it. If anyone knows of any hybrid picking on a death metal album or a black metal album, please drop it in the links because I just don't think you're going to find one. But that's the one. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Calling reason, finding you. And then that's that chorus, and it's just super catchy, man. I love that song. So, but then we get into the meat and potatoes of this album. As if that wasn't good enough, we're getting into the kick-ass fucking tracks now. We're getting into the Czar. Fucking Christ. This song. I don't know. Kellen said he wasn't into it, or he implied that it wasn't as good as Hearts Alive, but fuck me, dude. I love the Czar. And for me, it's kind of their first big prog rock epic. They do other stuff. They do other sort of Hearts Alive, I guess, could be an epic, thought of as an epic. I don't really think it's super proggy, but it's killer. Fucking Brian, man. Well done, sir. Well done. Yeah, man. So you got crushing riffs. There's like 4 songs within a song in this album, and every single bit of the songs, of the mini sections of the songs, are killer. And I can see that Brent was firing up to write an epic prog tune. And this one and the Baron, the last Baron, are those songs. But we'll get to that one in a minute. Yeah, just crushing riffs and melodies. You got, by the light of the moon, you must escape inside the. Yeah, what you must escape. Oh shit, I'm forgetting how it goes. By the light of the moon. I'm forgetting how it goes. I'm mixing all these tracks up now, but man, I mean, just the lyrics are killer. By the light of the moon, you must escape into the deep black of the night. Oh, that's it. You must escape into the deep black of the night. That's it. Fight the devil inside, enemies poison deep within my seconds. I'm fucking up the cadence of it, but wasting valuable time. Ride the tides of blood, illumination, beauty's sullen hand, shattered crown, stretching arms up high. We're on our way now. Leave the Czar to die. Man, it's so good. So good. And then the part where it gets to the mellow part, where he's doing that, how's it go? Spiraling up through the crack in the sky, leaving material world behind. Ah, it's so fucking good, man. So fucking good. And I love Brent's voice on this album. Brent's voice is kind of an acquired taste, but on this album, man, I love what he does with it. He's not doing the punk thing with it. He's doing just this cool. Yeah, it's nasal, and yeah, it has this sort of whine to it, but it works so perfectly with these songs on this album, man. Love it. Just the song fucking slays. It's that simple. It's a masterpiece. On an album full of killer songs, it stands out as a sign of how amazing these dudes are at songwriting. Then you got Ghost of Karelia. You got that wah. He's doing kind of a little bit of this Sleeping Giant thing with the whining melodies and all that stuff like that. I love that song, man. I can listen to Ghost of Karelia over and over and over. I did not write lyrics down for this one. I kind of forgot how it goes. I didn't forget how it goes. I just don't think I can sing it the way that it needs to be sung. Crack the Skye, which is a song that's kind of an homage to Braun's sister. This is really a killer track. It's proggy, but it's heavy as fuck. Scott Kelly from Neurosis blasts out the visceral verses. Braun and Troy share the melodic vocals in the bridge and chorus, and that building chorus for Crack the Skye is absolutely amazing. It's so beautiful, man. Then you get to the Baron, the 13-minute closing track. Man. It's hard for me to pick between this and the Baron, the Czar. I think I like the Czar a little bit better, but it's kind of 1 and 1A for me. But Brent's whine is perfectly matched with Troy and Braun's vocals underneath on this, because he's like, I guess they would say we could set this world ablaze. And then underneath it, you got the please take my hand, please take my soul. So fucking good, that opening section, man. And then, like I said, along with the Czar, Mastodon have become a full-fledged prog rock metal band with this album entirely. You got 13 plus minutes of a song that's a monster track. Doesn't lose me at all for 1 second through it. The run section is badass. Tons of masturbatory guitar riffs and proggy interplay all throughout the song. Fucking love this song. Love this album. This is a 10 out of 10 album. We talked about there's no 10 out of 10 albums on what was the subject? One
problem.
Right, they have one problem with it. This album does not have any problems at all. The production is fan-fucking-tastic. The songwriting is fan-fucking-tastic. The sequencing, the sequential order of the songs, absolutely amazing. All bangers, all mega bangers, man. There ain't one tweener banger to be found on this album. It's not because I want to be right, although I am, but it's just this album is fucking amazing. They've not, to me, they've not reached the level of this album since then. They put a lot of really good albums out. They put a lot of fantastic albums out. Some are a little bit more poppy or album-oriented, rocky in a weird way. They're all still heavy. Some are a little bit more sludgier and grungier. But this album is kind of the culmination of what I feel is they're at their apex on this album. They are apex predators on this album, and it's a fucking banger. And the only replayability, I guess I'm going to sound stupid because I haven't listened to it for a couple of years, but I will tell you, it's a 13-year album, 13-year-old album almost, 14 years. Shit gets relegated to the shelves or the boxes in my case, and it doesn't come out that much when it's not fresh and new. But I will tell you, listening to this album twice today, I just wanted to listen to it over and over and over again. And I remember when I got this album, it barely came out of the CD player for at least a month or two, man. It was a constant spin. So production amazing, sequencing amazing, no skipper tracks, banger of an album. It's sold the most. It's their most, from what I understand, it's their most. Did you look up the numbers, by the way?
Yeah, nothing came up. It just said 2010 was the last thing.
I guarantee this album sold 300,000, 400,000, 500,000. I'd be shocked if it's not gold by now or more. Which in a day and age of albums not being bought nearly as much the last 10 years or so, that's a lot of albums. You go on now when a band puts an album out, let's take Metallica out of the equation because they're in a different universe of sales. But you put out, let's say Alice in Chains comes out with them. If they sell 100,000 units in that first 2 weeks, that's a lot of albums. And then album sales just drop like a stone. It's just how it is because of streaming and different ways people are accessing music and the importance of music and the importance of listening to an entire album. And I'll tell you what really stands out about this album for me. It's an album you put on and start to finish. You don't pick up the needle or hit the skip button or want it to end. For me, I don't want this album to end. It's so good. I want to go back to it and listen to it. So now it's your turn to try and argue why this album is not their definitive album and why it's not better than Blood Mountain. So go for it.
So here's where I get kicked off the stream, maybe.
What's that?
Here's where I get kicked off and not welcome back.
Probably.
Oblivion, slow, moody intro before breaking into the simple riff with lead vocals from Braun. Super sing-along chorus, like you said, with Brent and Troy's cleaner vocals of what's used to on the first records. Definitely the most different intro to a record up to this point, since the first three were more like heavy kick-ass intros. Divination's weird but cool intro banjo riff before the guitars come in and break into that mini lead riff from Brent. One of the few tracks with harsher vocals on this record, which was used very sparingly, which later on they basically got rid of that. Another super catchy sing-along chorus, which is a theme on this record that you didn't really hear before this record. Quintessence. The track reminds me of a more atmospheric, trippy track like Sleeping Giant. Both those songs with track 3 on the record, so kind of interesting that track 3 was a trippy track. I don't know if they planned that.
Hey, again?
I said that like both the first kind of trippy atmospheric tracks on both these records are both track 3. I don't know if they planned that because you got Quintessence and Sleeping Giant. They're both track 3, so kind of an odd choice. I don't know if they planned that. But,
Could be.
What can I say? Oh yeah. The Kazar starts off with the 4-minute atmospheric part sung by Brent before, then breaks into a more rocking part with alternating vocals from the 3 singers. My favorite part of the track is the part that has the lead vocals from Troy. Then there's a fake out which makes you think the song's gonna end. If it were just up to me, the track would end there. The last 3 minutes, besides the guitar solo, are just kind of boring.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ghost of Corellia, another track where the beginning reminds me of Sleeping Giant, though it's pretty obvious at this point that most of this record is more about creating an atmosphere for you to get sucked into instead of being more riff focused like the early records.
Dude, quit waving back and forth. You're taking your face out of the frame. You're going side to side. You're disappearing out of the view. There we go. Ah, Christ, Devon. Good
Fucking
Lord.
technology.
What a clusterfuck this has been.
Oh, well. Not to say that there aren't some good riffs with this record is definitely, I would say, the more atmospheric and less riff focused than the first 3, because the first 3, they were more about the riff. This one, they're more about creating an atmosphere, which you can even tell by the artwork, you're getting sucked into the void. Crack the Skye, definitely my favorite track on the record, maybe because it's the heaviest. Slow acoustic intro before breaking into that super heavy riff. That's one of the 2 examples with the harsh vocals again. This song could have been on the first 2 or 3 records, but it goes back and forth between the Cling Sun chorus and then the ending from Troy and Braun, The Last Baron. Definitely their proggy opus that goes in a musical, I forgot what they're called, musical journey that takes you up and down and brings you in through a different direction. So yeah, good record, but I have other favorites.
Okay. Well, let's see. What are my thoughts on that? You're wrong. But all right, so where's this place in your list of Mastodon albums?
Number 4. No,
Wow,
tied.
what's ahead of it?
Tied for third because my number 3, the last couple songs kind of suck, so I'm not gonna
All right,
say
so
that.
what's your first?
Leviathan.
Wait, your first is Leviathan or Blood Mountain?
My favorite's Leviathan, but I don't think that's the definitive one, though. I think Blood Mountain's still the definitive record.
Why? Tell me that.
Because you could tell where they were going, and on this record, there's hints of the past, present, and future. Leviathan, you didn't really hear where they were going next. It wasn't until this where you could hear where they were going later on. So that's why I didn't pick Leviathan, because Leviathan's just super heavy throughout, with one exception.
I guess I don't see that that's necessarily wrong, because on Crack, you don't hear a lot of the early, you don't hear Remission sort of stuff so much. You hear some Leviathan, I think, and I think you definitely hear some Blood Mountain. But what you hear is a band that's fully coalesced into a songwriting machine that's really doing kind of everything. I agree. Yeah, he's got an argument there. I do see that. Hey, Eric, what's up, buddy? But I don't think definitively you could call it that, when it's not really their most successful album.
Well, it
And
doesn't. Well, it's the one that defined their sound, though. To me, just because it's the most successful doesn't mean it's the most definitive.
see, I don't think it fully defines their sound. The reason I say that is they started writing epic length songs on the next several albums, and they became more of a prog band. So I'm not saying you're wrong. You've got some good points there. I agree, which really pains me very much to say that. So yeah, I agree. You're not really off on that. I agree. I do still think that the defining album of their career, if you went to, let me put it this way, if you went to 900 Mastodon fans, I'm betting any money that the two albums that come up are going to be Leviathan and Crack the Skye. Those are going to be the two that they're going to go, yeah, that's the album that I want to listen to from that band. I don't think you'll get that as much from Blood Mountain. I just don't think you will.
I could see your point. You could argue this is maybe a transitional record,
Good point. It's transitional. Yep.
like the third Catatonia, kind of.
Yep. What's your replayability on both these?
It depends. It depends how often I'm in the mood for Mastodon. I usually pull for this one more. This one I have to be in a certain mood for, but when I listen to it, I always enjoy it. But I usually pull for this one more often. So, say if I'm in a Mastodon mood, I don't know, twice a year, I'll probably listen to this one 5 or 6 times. This one maybe 3.
Yeah, so I think, let me pull up my little cheat sheet here because I want to make sure I cover everything that I wanted to cover on these. I think the thing, here's another thing. I think that the variety on the first album on Blood Mountain isn't quite what track wise as it is on the second one, or on Crack the Skye. Sorry, I think that there's a linearness to a lot of the songs on Blood Mountain, whereas there's not as much linearness to the tracks on Crack the Skye. Now, by what I mean by linear is you can kind of draw an arrow from the start of the album to the end of the album. Yeah, it's not all one dimensional. It's not all speed tracks or sludge tracks or prog tracks, but it's a little more one dimensional, I think, than Crack the Skye is. That's just my thing that comes of it. And it's interesting. Eric says Blood Mountain doesn't have the huge song lengths, which some can be a turnoff to some people. True. If you're not a prog nerd, that may not appeal to you, and I get that. So I like it. That's probably why I like it more, maybe a little bit, because I am a prog dork. So that kind of comes into the equation a little bit there. Okay, we talked about sonic consistency, production, mixing, mastering. Sounds really good. I noticed that Kellen had a comment on that here. Brendan also works in Atlanta. Yes, true. And after all the drama with being hot. Oh, yeah, that Grammy thing when Brent got the shit beat out of him by Shavo Abdavian or whatever his name is. Abdavian. The dude from
System
of a Down beat him up when he was drunk and acting. Apparently, Brent was drunk and acting like a fucking dickhead. So I don't necessarily fault Shavo for that. From what I understood, he might have kind of deserved it a little bit. They went back. They didn't go back to Seattle with Matt Bales. All right, thanks, Kellen. I wasn't aware of that. Yeah, a couple of quick comments back here. I just wanted to hit on Mastodon. Man, I never gave a shit about them. Obviously, great band, just not my thing. Hey, man, it is what it is. It's kind of like me and a lot of black metal. A lot of it just sounds the same to me, and when I hear a black metal band that I really dig and like, it's something special. But I don't. Now, I wouldn't call Mastodon in my top 10 of bands. I don't think they're up there. I know they're not there. But are they a top 30 band for me? A top 25 band? Maybe. I think they're a special band. I think they're, a really, really good band. I need to get on the Hushed and Grim thing and probably pick up Emperor of Sand if I can find it cheap somewhere.
Marty, if this said Halloween, you would like it. Don't lie.
What's that?
If this said Halloween, Marty would be all over it. So Marty,
yeah, that was Halloween. You'd be fucking shitting bricks all over it for sure. The Hunter and Once More Around the Sun are my least favorites. Well, I don't, what do you know, Nick? I mean, come on, seriously.
I actually really like the Hunter.
It's the one I'm not crazy about. Let's see. Tough one to follow. Yep. All right. let's see where we at. Showing up late, annoying that I didn't get a notification. Dude, I don't know, man. If you have, I don't know what's up with that. Sometimes I've heard that's a game that fucking YouTube plays. So YouTube, fuck you. Thanks for telling people this shit's happening. I saw a couple other things I wanted to touch on quick, and then we'll kind of wrap up, and maybe we'll do a post-show hang, because I don't think this one will be done in about 7, 8, 10 minutes. I'll probably set up a separate stream if people want to jump on. Nate, get your fucking ass on here, dude. Metal Connection. Don't know you. Do I know you? I don't know if I know you, but thanks for popping in. Kelleher's the man. Yep, for sure. Surf Rock Solo. Yep. Very cool. What do we have here? Rick had a few zingers. Where are they? Here they are. We did a Sinatra definitive album. We'd hear Jeff go, fly with me, come fly with me, fly me to the moon. How's that? How was my croon? I think it's pretty fun. I think I do a pretty good Sinatra. I did it my way. There you go. All right. How's that? So I did show a Dylan box. Let's see. What Dylan do I even know? I don't think I know any Dylan. Do I know any? I'm trying to think of a song. All the times they are a changing. How's that? Is that right? I don't know any Dylan songs like off the top of my head that I could do the lyrics for. I would have been a great pick for Real Men of Genius. I agree. Absolutely. Would be great. And what else do we have here? If it said Halloween on it, wouldn't sound like hipster. Oh, here we go. Hipster rock.
Marty, go
I
listen
hate to break it to you, but probably Mastodon's way outsold every Halloween album out there. Probably.
Marty, go listen to the fucking demos, dude. Those are.
Marty, go listen to Remission. Tell me that isn't fucking brutally heavy. Hipster rock. I don't know, dude. I'm not hearing that, but. By the way, yes, Nate, you're correct. It is Superior, right? The Hunters where I hopped the train, so I have a soft spot for it. Yeah, I saw them on that tour with I saw them with Opeth. Opeth was headlining, Mastodon was next, and Ghost opened. And Ghost was like, that was on their eponymous opus or whatever it is. And I liked a couple songs, but I've never bought any of their stuff, never got into them. And I think the Hunter might be the last time I saw Mastodon live. I thought about trying to get out to a show this year, but I just don't think it's going to happen. And what else? Yeah. Oh, and Opeth was on everybody's favorite Opeth album. Everybody's favorite. What was it? What was it, Devon?
Pale Communion.
What's that?
Pale Communion.
Nope, the one before that.
I don't remember what it's called. I don't like
one
it.
With Orchard? No, what's it called?
Orchid?
Or no, not Orchid.
That's the debut, duh.
The one with the tree with the heads on it.
Heritage?
Heritage, thank you, yeah. Which I actually really like that album. So I mean, I know everyone else hates it. I kind of like that album. All right. So last couple of housekeeping items here. Devon, what do you got going on your channel there, buddy?
Besides throwing my fucking computer out the window?
Yeah, besides fucking up my stream for the first 25 minutes. What do you got going
on? So you know how there's like different like scenes within metal, like the Swedish death, the German thrash, or whatever. So I'm gonna start a series where I go through my favorite scenes within metal and just go down my favorite records. So episodes 1 is gonna be on Swedish death metal from the 90s. So that should probably be out next Sunday, maybe. So look out for that.
Cool. Are you joining me on Prog Metal Island or are you not?
No.
You pussy.
It would just be the first 10 Opeth records.
Yeah, well, that's not going to work. But thanks for your participation. I know Eric's going to be there. Marty said no. I think Nick's going to be there. I got to get Nate on. Nate wants to be on there. Nate, get a fucking computer or borrow one for that day, or use your cell phone, or get a better cell phone.
He's right. I like the Hunter.
What's that?
He's right about the Hunter.
You know, I got to go check that out then. Maybe I missed something. The Hunter has Curl of the Burrow on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that song. I just don't. I don't remember anything else from that. The octopus is your friend or something?
Octopus has no friends.
That's it. Yeah, I remember that one too. Oh, look at that. Marty does own 2 albums by them. How about that? Okay.
Oh, so he said it sucks, but now he changes his mind. Okay.
All right. Yeah, I think we're gonna do a post-show hang. Give me about we'll wrap up here in about 3 minutes. We had some major stress at the beginning of this one. Devon's laptop crapped out literally like 15 minutes before we were going live. He grabbed his mom's, and there was something weird with the Wi-Fi there. We couldn't. He looked like a Japanese mid-50s Japanese Godzilla movie where the mouths move and the words come out before the mouth and all that shit. So it was kind of annoying. So we got him onto the phone, and that kind of set things straight. I'll have to make a note in the comments. Yeah, again, tomorrow, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. 3/5 of Forbidden, Craig LaCicero, Chris Contos, Norman Skinner coming on. We're going to talk about all kind of shit Forbidden, and we may talk about the skate punk band, the Boneless Ones, because both Craig and Chris are in that band as well. We'll probably wrap it up with a little bit of that talk, and then see if they're working on a new album. And what else? Tomorrow night, I think it's 8:00. Melinda and I are doing the Hawkwind, first decade of Hawkwind, 1970, 1980. That's 9 albums and 1 live album that we're going to talk about, which I got to get a lot of that listened to. So the stream won't go super duper late tonight. Maybe 2:00 is about it. So anybody who wants to join me on that stream, let me know in the comments real quick, and I'll get links out to you. Devin, are you going to hang around and jump on?
No, my phone's about to die.
Well, charge your fucking phone up, douchebag.
I might come back later. We'll see.
Plug it in or something. Also, on Saturday, I'm hoping Chromie D and I are doing Judas Priest on the Dad series, but he said he'd get back to me tomorrow for sure. Sunday, Nick and I are doing Morbid Angel, Covenant, and Altars of Madness. Huh?
Hidden Shoes, the stupid elude, whatever the fuck.
Something like that, yeah. What else? Yeah, I just did a Jason McMaster interview last week, and yesterday I did the second part of the Greg May Tyrant interview. That's up. What else? Next week. Oh, Sunday. Shit. Sunday. Fuck. I'm in trouble, Eric, but I think I can get it done. Sunday, Eric Berg and I are doing the second half of the Jethro Tull catalog, but we're doing it at 4 in the afternoon. But stay tuned. Stay tuned, because we might have to switch that, Eric, to a little later in the night. I hate to do that to you, but we might have to switch to like 10 my time, 7 yours. I just don't know if I'm going to be ready at 4 on Sunday afternoon. But sometime Sunday afternoon or evening, Eric and I are going to do the last 11 albums in the Jethro Tull catalog, from Stormwatch through Rocca Flutta, which is the last one in 2023, just came out earlier this year. And then we're going to do a third part later in October. We're going to do all the box set stuff, which is going to be a monster unto itself. Anything else? No, I don't want to postpone it, dude. We need to get this done. I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you off here. Yeah, we got to rank them, too. That's going to be a mother. Eric, you want to join me? Are you joining me and Matt and Nick and maybe Rick and Devin and a few people? Let me know. I think that's it. So, yeah, the bottom line on this is both these albums are really, really good. I would say, quite frankly, that Mastodon's catalog is pretty solid all the way through. I don't think there's any shitty albums or even any kind of mediocre albums. But I think that, if you went to rock critics or most rock fans and say, hey, you're a fan of Mastodon, and they said, yeah, and you ask them, well, what do you think is their best, most definitive album? I would bet my left ball that it is probably Crack the Skye is what they're going to say. But I could be wrong. It might be Leviathan, and it could be Blood Mountain, but I'd be curious about that. So I was trying to keep track of what everybody said, and for the most part, most people were on board with my thought process on it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there's no right and wrong here. It's what we hear and what we like. And so yeah. So if you're tuning into this at the end, going back to the beginning, there's about a 15, 20 minute section where we had some major stress with video and audio on Devon's end, but we got it sorted out and we got it done. I'll note that in the comments. And dude, you got to get that fucking sorted out tomorrow. Jimmy couldn't help you, he said?
No.
Yeah, you're gonna have to take it to a PC guy, and if you do, he's gonna say probably, well, dude, I'd chuck it and get a new one. But that's what they do anymore. I took my Acer laptop, which is perfectly fine, but the hinges are broke on it, and when I took it into him, he didn't call me for like 3 months. I finally called him like, dude, he's like, oh yeah, oh that, yeah, I just get a new one. He never even fucking looked at it. He's like, it's gonna cost me like $100 to tear it apart, and the hinges are gonna be like $30 if I can find them. You're better off just buying them. I'm like, the rest of this fucking computer's hardly been used. You kidding me, right? Yeah, they make them to be thrown out now. I'm like, fuck you, dude. And then he couldn't find the top of my computer for like 15 minutes back in the shop. Guess what? He'll never get any service from me or any business from me. So anyway, guys, want to thank everybody I did have a Mac though, Marty. That's the thing. When my disability's figured out, that's the first thing I'm going to do is get a Mac laptop with all kind of music software loaded on, because I got to write some tunes. I got too many cool songs everybody's got to hear. Anybody got any last things to ask or whatever in the comments, hit us up now, and we're going to head out and do a post-show hang at about midnight. We'll start that about midnight. I'll set that up, and Nick, maybe it's just you and me. I don't know. Rick didn't get back to me. Brian, it's only 11 your time. You probably got to go to bed, though. I don't know if you're in, Marty. Let me know. Anyone else? Nate? Devon said he might pop on a little bit later. So thanks to McIrish. Thanks to Kellen. Thanks to Thralls. Brian Arkham. Dreadful Minutes. Marty Worm over at Heavy Metallurgy, who just did a album dissection. I forget what it's called. Album club dissection or something like that on a Mayhem album. Damon. I hate Mayhem, so I probably wouldn't like any of it anyways. But go check that out. Check out Marty Worm and my dad episode, which was last Sunday. We did Iron Maiden Killers and Somewhere in Time, which was awesome and is doing really well, man. Almost 500 views on that thing. And who else we got here? Sadistic Intent. Oh, that's not a person. Never mind. Posers. What else? Metal Connection. Thanks, buddy, for chopping in. And I think that's pretty much everybody. Is that everybody? Yeah. So, guys, thanks for. Oh no, Tim Saunders was here a while back too. So, Tim, thanks for being here. Appreciate you guys. All right. Hang on, Devon. See y'all.
See ya.